In the ancient text of Revelation, chapter 13, a vision unfolds that is both haunting and awe-inspiring, a vision of ultimate chaos and destruction, where the forces of good and evil clash in a cosmic battle. At the center of this apocalyptic revelation is the rise of the beast, a monstrous creature that emerges from the depths of the sea, bringing terror and chaos to the world. This beast is unlike anything the world has seen. It has 7 heads and 10 horns, a grotesque symbol of overwhelming power and dominion. Each of its heads wears a crown, a sign that this beast has been given authority to rule, but its power is not its own. Behind this creature lurks the dark figure of the dragon, representing none other than Satan. The beast rises not by its own strength, but through the authority of this ancient adversary, who empowers it to fulfill a dark and destructive purpose. As the beast rises from the sea, it captivates the world. Its sheer size, strength, and presence are enough to mesmerize people. But what truly sets the beast apart is that it bears a fatal wound, one that should have killed it. Against all odds, this mortal wound is miraculously healed, and the world stands in stunned amazement at the sight. People are drawn to the beast's apparent invincibility, and soon worship begins. In worshiping the beast, humanity also worships the dragon, though many may not realize it. They are lured into the seductive power of evil, disguised as authority and strength. The question resounds across the world: who is like the beast? Who can make war against it? The answer seems to be no one. For 42 months, the beast is given authority to rule over the earth. During this time, it opens its mouth to speak blasphemous words against God. It mocks everything sacred, desecrating the divine. The beast becomes a symbol of rebellion against God's rule, claiming its own supremacy. Yet, its war is not just one of words. The beast also wages war against the saints, those faithful to God. The followers of the beast, drunk on its power, persecute and oppress anyone who stands for righteousness. It is a dark and perilous time where evil seems to reign unchecked. But even in the midst of this terror, the faithful hold on to a promise that no matter how powerful the beast appears, it will not rule forever. Just like the ancient Leviathan, a sea creature from the depths of chaos in biblical imagery, the beast represents disorder and destruction. But it too is doomed. Its power is fleeting, and its reign will not last. While the world may be captivated by its strength, the beast's destiny is not one of victory, but of defeat. The beast's rise and apparent invincibility is only part of the story. In the end, God will triumph. Despite the beast's efforts to claim the world, despite the blasphemies and the persecution of the faithful, good will prevail. The chaos that the beast brings will be overcome by divine order, and the forces of evil will be vanquished. As the vision of Revelation unfolds, we see that the beast's defeat is inevitable. The book points to a final battle where all the forces of evil, including the dragon, the beast, and all who follow them, will be crushed by the power of God. What once seemed invincible is shown to be nothing in the face of divine justice. The kingdom of God will be established, and there will be no place for chaos or rebellion. The story of the beast from the sea is not just an ancient prophecy, but a reminder for all times. It illustrates that while evil may rise,
and while it may seem to hold sway for a time, it is always temporary. The forces of destruction and chaos cannot stand against the power of good. In the end, evil is doomed to fall, and God's victory is assured.
in the final days, as the earth trembled with the sound of the 5th trumpet, the skies darkened, and from the abyss arose a horde of creatures unlike any ever seen. The ground cracked open as smoke billowed forth, and from this blackness locusts emerged, but not the kind that devour fields of crops. These locusts were terrifying in both form and purpose. Their bodies resembled war horses, as though bred for battle, clad in armor that glinted in the faint light. Upon their heads sat crowns of gold, symbols of power and dominance, marking them not as mere beasts, but as agents of a dark force. Their faces were disturbingly human, twisted with intelligence and malice, a reminder that these were no ordinary creatures. They had come from the abyss itself, from a place of punishment and chaos. And yet, it was their tails that struck true terror into the hearts of those who saw them. Like scorpions, their tails lashed and writhed, ready to strike. These tales carried venom, not the kind that brings death, but the kind that brings torment. For 5 long months, they roamed the earth, seeking out those not sealed by God, and with every lash of their tails, they inflicted unbearable pain. The sting brought agony unlike any human had ever known, a searing, burning pain that tore through bodies and souls alike. The afflicted sought death in their torment. They cried out for relief, for the release of death to take them, but it did not come. Their suffering would not end, and the locusts continued their grim task. People fled to the mountains, into the wilderness, and hid in caves, but there was no escape from the wrath of these creatures. The locusts could not be killed or outrun, for they were not of this world. They came with a purpose to torment, to bring judgment, to remind humanity of the cosmic war being waged, one far greater than their suffering. These locusts were not alone. They were the first wave of creatures sent to bring humanity to its knees. As they swarmed through cities and towns, their numbers never dwindled, never tired. The earth groaned beneath their march, and the heavens offered no respite. For those who bore the sting, hope seemed lost, as the pain of their torment continued day after day, with no sign of relief. But these creatures, as fearsome as they were not the end. They were a symbol, a reminder of the war between light and darkness, good and evil. Their appearance marked a pivotal moment in the divine plan. For while they brought destruction, they also heralded a greater purpose, the ultimate victory of good over evil. The locusts were but a tool, instruments of judgment sent to awaken a world too long asleep to the realities of the spiritual battle around them. In the silence after their swarm passed, the world was left shaken. Though many had suffered, those who remained knew that the locusts were but a chapter in a much larger story. The end was not yet, but it was coming. The pain they brought was a dark prelude to the final, climactic battle between the forces of darkness and the light that would ultimately triumph. Even as the locusts retreated back to the abyss from which they came, their presence lingered, a haunting reminder of the fate that awaited those who chose to walk in darkness. But amidst the terror, there was still hope. For in the face of such torment, those who remained faithful knew that the forces of good would soon rise to meet the challenge. And in the end, light would prevail.